Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our diagnostic training session today. Forgive me. This tonight's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little more different from what we normally do. So we're doing what we call Ask Jason Anything. So this can go probably one of two ways, and hopefully it'll go the good way. But as we go through this, I'm going to be asking you guys to submit some questions or submit some information. First section is going to be, what do I want to learn about next year? So we're trying to come up with some more topics that you all, as the viewers, would like to learn about. So we'll get into that in a minute. So think of some questions or think of some topics that you might want to learn about in the future in this series. Also, we're going to be you can ask me some questions on, hey, how do I do XYZ on this Snap-on scan tool? If I have a Snap-on scan tool, how would I find that? And then we can go through those. And then if we have time towards the end, we'll also maybe go through some general diagnostic questions. We're probably not going to be able to get down to the level of, I have a 1989 Buick Century with this particular problem. How would I go about it? Because, well, you ever tried to diagnose a car over the phone? That's not that easy. So doing it over the internet, still not that easy, but maybe some generalized questions that we might be able to get through that as well. So my name is Jason Gabrinas. I'm one of Snap-on's national diagnostic trainers. Been in the training department the last 9 years, almost 10 years now, traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple years as a diagnostic sales rep at Snap-on. So I had about 30 different Snap-on franchisees I worked with, as well as the shops that they serviced, in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic needs. Then before that, it was 8 years at Subaru. So I worked in a dealership, and over time, I guess, became the go-to diag guy in the shop. So I always ended up with the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems that would show up on those cars. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth, was trying to figure out all those weird head scratcher type cars that would come into my bed. All right. So as I said, going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a lot more. We're going to need a lot more back and forth, a lot of chat going on here to kind of go through that and get to through some of these questions. And I do see some coming through on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, use the live chat function. If you're on Zoom, just go into the Q&A and you can type in any of those questions there in the Q&A, and we'll go through that. So I got a few coming in here. Hello, Winton. Hello, I am Smiley. Hello, Abel. Welcome, GIE Auto. Thanks for joining. And I see you have a question there, and I'll get to that probably in the second section. Quinn, welcome back. Good to see you. And I also realized that there is probably about a 30-second delay on Zoom, so between Zoom and YouTube. So YouTube might be a little bit of a lag there. So like I said, this is an experiment. There's really no slides tonight. There's really no let's learn about something tonight. So what I want to know is, what do you, as a viewer, want to learn more about? What do you want to learn more about? And I'm talking different systems on a vehicle, things that we usually talk about, right? I've talked about ADAS and direct injection and brushless fuel pumps. And we did lighting, we did charging systems. We've done network diagnostics. Is there anything you'd like to see a little more detail on? Is there any other systems that I haven't covered yet that you'd like to learn a little bit more on? Because that seems to be kind of our little niche here, is like a systems training. Here's how it works, and then here's how you can go through and diagnose it, or here's how some techniques that you might want to use to go through and diagnose it there. So any suggestions, and I'll put a poll up if you do have some suggestions, and we'll vote. We'll be very democratic about it, I guess. We'll go up and vote. Claude asks, is there somewhere we can find copies of the slides to use with students? So being as it is generated content from Snap-on, it's copyrighted, and it is like, I guess, semi-proprietary. It does say proprietary on the slides, but with this stuff, it's really not for out in the open, out in the air, out in class, I guess. Things of that nature. So it's kind of a sticky situation. We do have class programs that we provide through this group called NC3 that does a lot of college programs as well. Claude's looking for more ADOS programming, EVAP system in detail. So a little more in detail on EVAP systems. More ADOS programming, I guess, for sure. We did do a live stream a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that, where we went through and we did a live calibration on a Camry. We calibrated the camera and the radar sensors. So where was the front radar sensor on that? So we calibrated a couple things on the Camry there. Security lockout type features. So I'm guessing maybe like key programming, perhaps immobilizer. Guess we could do a function on functionality of it. Not a ton of key programming around. Let's see what else we got. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be kind of boring if you're not asking any questions. So, oh, good. There we go. We got one on. Let's see. All right. So Roderick is asking, and I think I will answer this in the next section as well with the how do I do XYZ on a Snap-on tool? He wants to know how to set up a Veris Edge for do relative compression test and set a trigger up. So we can get into that detail in a little bit. When I go to the next section, I'm just going to talk about actual tool functionality. So Abel's talking about, let's see. Okay. So Abel's looking for reading wiring diagrams. So we do a bunch on wiring diagrams. So that's a good one. Maybe I'll do that one first. 5-volt reference, talk about that. There's a couple things we mention here and there in our classes. So Claude is an NC3 Snap-on Certification Center. Always looking for more information. So that's good. Cybersecurity. So I'm guessing, Claude, cybersecurity, maybe like security link, as we call it, with these different secured gateways and so on. We could do that for sure. So let me start a list here. I'm going to start a poll on this. It's down here so I can see a little bit better. All right, so let's see classes. So we have like security, secure gateway. We had, oops. We got a bunch of stuff going on at the time. Okay. Let's see. So secure gateway, scope usage. Let's try immobilizer, I guess I saw. Was up there. CVT, that's a good one. I did do a transmission class, but not really on CVTs. So that'd be a good one. Let's see. What else we got? Let's see. Okay, a couple different things. Starter diagnostics. We just did starters. I could probably expand upon it though. With that. Let's see. Cybersecurity wiring diagrams. Got to add that one in there. There as well. Let's see. Quinn, I think that's another question for the next section. So I'll just leave that. We'll just leave that for a little bit later. Just kind of reading them as they're coming in here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wiring diagrams. How about more on scope usage? I got another one there. From, let's see, I Am Smiley asked that one. So more on scope usage. see, GIE Auto, I think we'll get into that in the second section as well. So I'm just going to build a little poll here. I think I can do this on YouTube too. I believe. Let me see. Maybe it would have been a good idea to check, but let's see. I don't know if I can do a poll here. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see what we got. Engage with your audience. Start a poll. There we go. Start a poll. Okay, so we got secure gateway. And we got scope usage. I already got that one twice. Go. Mobilizer. And CVT. Spurs. I only have four choices on it. 4 choices on now. All right. So lost this one. Here we go. We're sending out a little poll on YouTube. And we're going to send out a little poll on. So that must be done. Save. All right. Go up here. And launch. All right. So we got that running on Zoom as well. Let's see how that goes. All right, what else we got going on? Let's see. Hello, Nick from the UK. Welcome, as usual. We do have a poll up on YouTube as well. Let's see what we got going on here. And I'm going, well, see, Smiley, I'm just kind of, I'm ranking them, right? So I know I'm going to probably do them all. Probably going to do them all. But I want to see kind of what's more popular a topic with you all over and above the other ones. So I'll probably maybe do that one first. Maybe not. It just kind of depends. So when I build my classes, it takes a couple weeks. You got to do research. You got to put all the material together, stuff like that. Find some good cases inside the tool that can kind of show what we're talking about. So it does take a little while. So I'll admit I'm being a little selfish here because I want to get some more material. But I figured why not ask you all who watch these videos anyways? What if I'm just doing stuff you don't want to learn about, and it's counterproductive. So always good to poll the audience, I guess, every once in a while. You got anything else? Let's see. So we got runaway winner on Zoom anyways of the they want more on scope usage. How do we hook up to do this, and this? All right, what we got going on YouTube? Looks like secure gateways barely edging out scope usage. Not seeing anybody voting for a mobilizer. That's okay. Those are all good things. All right. How to sneak past gateway, Smiley. No. We don't do that. We don't do that. You can do that in your own shop. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. What our goal is, and actually behind the scenes, it's been a lot of time and a lot of effort being expended on these manufacturer gateways because they're more and more coming down the road over the next few years. So we've been expending a lot of time and energy and effort trying to, with our relationships with the manufacturers, come to some agreements. And this manufacturer wants it this way, and this manufacturer uses this protocol, and there's all sorts of different things that we have to worry about to do it the right way, right? So takes a little bit of work, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, especially lately, because a lot of manufacturers are saying, hey, yeah, in like one model year, we're going to have a secure gateway that you got to figure out how to get around. So that's kind of how it goes. All right, so we got looks like we got secure gateway nudging that out. So I think that's going to be pretty popular. So I will end that poll. I don't know how I'm going to see it again, but let's see. And then we'll start up another poll, additional classes. Because I can only do like 4 at a time on YouTube. So I talked about more on EV. I'm seeing a couple things on EVs. Let's see, starters. Also, remember, you guys can look back in the past too. If you go to our YouTube channel, that's all of our classes are up there. Let's see, EV starters. Let's see, wiring diagrams, interpretation, and I guess I have one more option here, which would be Ethernet. I guess we could probably do a little bit more on Ethernet. You have that out there too. I'll give you another poll there, YouTube. On Zoom, we had all those options in there. I had to ask actually. All right. So Roderick asked another question on Zoom, and I think that's an excellent one for the next section we're going to go to here in a few minutes. I'm just going to kind of see where I'm at on time as well. We're about 15 minutes in. That's not too bad. Doing pretty good here. So we got another poll going up here. Ooh, wow. Runaway on EVs there. Running away on EVs there. Like I said, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to use them all anyways, so it's not a big deal. Roderick is asking, what's the YouTube channel? So I will type the answer so you can link to it, but it's youtube.com/Snap-on Diagnostics. I am live over there right now too. So let's see. That's another good question there, Anthony. So I will get to Anthony on YouTube. So I will get to that in the next section, which we'll get to probably another minute or two. It's not gone about 15 minutes on this. So we shall continue shortly. Give you another little bit on the YouTube poll there. We already got the poll done on Zoom here. Just kind of see. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different. A little quiet. I feel like I have to keep talking so it's not dead air. But we definitely have a lot of good questions for the next section. So we'll get to spend plenty of time on that. And I'll use these for the next session too, I think. So. And as I said, I know there's little bit of a lag on YouTube. So I talk and then like 30 seconds later, you see it on YouTube. But that's okay. We can still make it work. A lot of good dialogue going on. There we go. Let's get that down there. Put this up here real quick. Get ready. Okay, looks like EVs and wiring diagrams are tied there on YouTube. So on Ethernet, pulling up a close second. Starters like we did. Let's see. I am Smiley. How long before we won't be allowed to drive in cities? So that's maybe not even anything on any of the topics I got. So I don't really know. Autonomous, honestly, autonomous cars can't drive themselves in cities yet. So I think it's going to be a long time. Just because the infrastructure is not there. The cars aren't there. The technology is not there yet. They're working on it. They're trying, but I think there's way too many variables for it to even be in 5 years myself. But maybe somebody will surprise me. Could happen. All right, and that poll. So looking good. All right. So that is I want to learn more about. So we got some good feedback there. We're going to talk about actually probably a good half a dozen 8 classes there. So that'll be good to at least get me started, right? So on the next year. And I'm sure as we go, there'll be more things that we want to talk about too. So next up, we've been getting a lot of questions here, and I figured this would probably be the most popular section, just because there's always these questions on Snap-on scan tools. So this section will be, how do I do this on my Snap-on tool? Maybe it could be generalized for other tools, but of course, you know, I work for Snap-on. I use Snap-on tools, so I'm going to be able to tell you how to do stuff on your own tool because I'm going to have it in front of me. So first off, Roderick on Zoom is asking, Veris Edge would like to know how to connect my test leads up to do relative compression test and how to set a trigger up to tell what is cylinder 1. So there's a couple different ways that we can go about this. So I got my Zeus up here, which for all intents and purposes is going to be pretty darn close to what you're going to see on your Veris. It's just going to be black instead of gray. It's basically your difference. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. So one way is if you go into guided component tests, and it's not on every vehicle, but I know for sure if you pull up like a BMW, 2012 BMW, because that's where our demo board is, there is under engine, there should be a compression test right there. So you see how they have a compression test right there. So it's going to be a relative compression test. Relative cranking compression test using secondary probe test leads. So this is kind of a bespoke test that they came up with. One of the guys in our BMW department came up with this. So relative compression or cranking compression can be checked using the regular supply test leads that you have right in the tool, and the special ignition presets that have been programmed in a test for this engine. So battery and starter motor must be in good condition for the test. We're going to test the yellow to battery positive and black to a known good ground. Probably the battery ground would be best. Optionally, we can hook up cylinder 1 spark plug wire inductive pickup if it's a spark plug, or you would use channel 2 and you would back probe on the trigger for a coil if it's coil on plug. So you either back probe at the coil, or if it's spark plug, you use the spark plug inductive pickup. Hook the supply voltage test leads to the battery positive and the ground side. If battery is not easily accessed, then hook up leads where you'd be able to jump starting the engine. Time base may be displayed better at 500 milliseconds on 3 and 4 cylinder engines. And if you need, you can zoom in on the waveform using 2 kV or 3 kV scale. So what it's going to do is it is going to set up in this, and I'll show you in a second, it's going to give you a preset on the meter, and then it will give you a cranking waveform. Also note, though, to perform this test, you want to disable the fuel system. So you can use clear flood mode on the vehicles where you can just press the gas pedal to full throttle before cranking. That'll disable the fuel. Or removing the fuse if there's a fuse, or removing the relay if there's a relay. You can do that. We just got to make sure the engine doesn't start. It's just going to be cranking. I'm going to crank the engine while recording the signature waveforms. And if you use the clear flood mode and you wish to use a trigger off the ignition instead of fuel, as injectors will be shut down during clear flood. And then what we would see, here's an example of a relative compression test using channel 1 and no trigger at all. So you're going to see basically it's the voltage drops every time the starter cranks over, and each cylinder is going to need a little bit more, needs a little bit more energy to crank it over, right? So we're going to see ups and downs on the waveform. If one's way higher, one's way lower, that's your culprit. And then on this one, we have an extra trigger. It's not needed to verify the compression. We use the trigger point to know what cylinder is what. So you need to know where it is in the firing order. So in this case, we got channel 2 on the number 1 plug or the number 1 coil. And when that fires, you know, if it's 1, 3, 4, whatever it is, whatever the firing order is, you would know that cylinder 1's right there. And then you could just, based off of where that falls. All right. And then you'd hit view meter after hooking up. And I'm not going to see anything here anyways, because I'm not hooked up to a car. But when you hit view meter, it's going to automatically set stuff up. Actually, it's kind of funny. It's doing it by itself because of the noise in the room. It's very, very sensitive. So it's going to pick up on that noise. Right? So that is in pretty much any 20 teens BMW. I just like picking the 2012 328i because that is our little waveform generator that we always use. So that's just an easy one for me to remember. But you'd be able to see that going on in the system. Yeah, I'm not hooked up to anything. So we got some noise in the house, and that's not surprising with the amount of electronics I have right here. So there's one from Mr. Roderick. What's the next one? When testing a component when not in component test section, how do you set your tool up with the right amount of volts? Also, can you share what are you getting out of upgrading with the intelligent diagnostics? So That's a two-part question, so I'll give you two-part answer. So when testing a component with non-component tests, you can just go into the regular scope. What you just need to really be aware of, you just kind of need to understand the system. How many volts does it operate at normally? So if I have, say, a 5-volt system, I'm just going to go into my regular lab scope here. And if I had, I'm going to come down and turn on my channels here. So if I only needed to test one thing, first off, I need to know what am I hooking up to. So on the probe, it's going to be, is it volts, which is going to be your general lead for testing voltage, or is it vacuum probe, pressure probe, blow amps probes, or ignition probe? Generally, it's going to be the volts. Then the next thing you're going to want to think about is, well, how many volts is this system? So if I have a few options. So if it's a 5-volt system, I could do 5 volts. Only problem with that is 5 volts could be off the top of the screen, especially if I'm shorted high. That might be an issue. So I want to do maybe 10 volts. So I can go 10 volts. And if it's a 5-volt system, I'd see 5 volts in there. It'd give me plenty of headroom in case I had something above. I can also change my 0 point by using this 1 over here on the right-hand side. And I know I'm going kind of fast, but I got a lot of questions to answer. With that, you can move it up and down relative to it. And I'm on 10 volt scale. I'm going -1 to +9. That's still 10 volts overall. So regardless, you're going to be on 10 volts. And then if you don't really see anything, or maybe it's taking up too much space on the screen, you can always either record it and then zoom out. So if I just hit stop and I were to zoom out right here, it's going to show me the entire recording that I did. And then I could just zoom in on whatever spot that I wanted to go. Now, since it's just normally just going up and down, I'm just seeing a little bit of up and down frequency. But if I wanted to go up like a little closer so I can see the waveform a little better, you can move in and out. The trick with our scopes, and it's always been this way, is record at a shorter time, and then you can always zoom out if you need to. And then with the new scope on the Zeus Plus, it is quadruple the buffer size. So you actually capture way more information with it as well. So it's 4 megabyte buffer instead of a 1. So that's how you would do that. And then what more are you getting out of upgrading with Intelligent Diagnostics? So the big difference between the tools that run our regular software, should we say, or our legacy software, which would be before Intelligent Diagnostics, and the Intelligent Diagnostics, is Intelligent Diagnostics is your code-based helper, so to say. I like to think of it as a great filter. So instead of having to go take the time to look up TSBs out of maybe hundreds or thousands of TSBs on a vehicle, it's just going to give us the ones we need for that. It's going to have real repair order based fixes for a vehicle. So that saves you from having to call a helpline or use one of our other maybe competitor products that do something similar with less information. Different things like it'll give you scanner data. Think about how many PIDs are on a car. And when I'm diagnosing a car, if I have 300-400 PIDs that I need to go through, do I need all of those PIDs? I probably don't. I probably need maybe a dozen, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, depends on what I'm working on. If I'm working on a fuel trim problem, do I care what the door lock cylinder is doing? No, probably not. But that could be one of the things that shows up on the screen. So the smart data filters down the PIDs based on real broken cars. And then it'll set also minimum and maximum triggers. So it's time savings is what it is. Saves you a ton of time. You could save 5, 10, 15 minutes looking up TSBs, 5, 10, 15 minutes setting up a custom data list with PID triggers and all that, figuring out what guided component tests I need to do, figuring out what kind of functional tests I need to do. And it puts it all on one screen and just makes it faster and easier to get the information you need. Could you set that up? And could you create the same information on your tool? Maybe. Maybe not. Depends on if you can go across data lists too. But it's certainly going to take you a whole lot longer to manually set it up on your tool versus having the tool do it for you with that one click. So that's your difference with Intelligent Diagnostics. Let's see. Part number 6 dash. Let me find out here. I don't know the part numbers off the top of my head, but this is for your trigger here. And let's see. Plug that in there. No, you would not. You can use that for the RPM adapter. That's the inductive RPM adapter. You need the little thing that looks like a Pez dispenser that's kind of clips on. It would have came with that normally. So if you have that with it, that can be used for number one. I guess it could be. No, it's kind of hard because you can't set it up as a second channel. All right, let's go back in my list because I know I had some other questions on scan tool stuff. How does my scan tool do this? How do I do this on my scan tool? Are we going to see something? So let's see. When will Snap-on diagnostic tools have network trees? At some point. And that's all I can tell you because I don't really know. I know they are working on it. So I will give you that. They are working on it. So if we're going to do it, we're going to do it all in, right? So we can use the information that we have from, maybe Shopkey and maybe combine that together on the tool and give you a really good solid use for it, because we're not just going to throw it in there if it's not going to be useful, right? So we're just going to have it in there. They are working on it. I just don't know when. Let's see. GIE Auto asks, how does Snap-on see its diagnostic tools integrating with electric vehicles? Very well, actually. Because a lot of the manufacturer stuff that I've seen anyways is they want you to use scanners to diagnose it. Because of the high voltage and danger involved and everything like that. So GIE Auto asked that. So we are keeping up with all of the, whatever the latest models are out there. Like the Ford Mustang EV was one of the big ones that just got put in there. Any of your, really, I don't know many EVs out there other than like your Teslas and your Rivians, the small companies, because those small companies, being fully electric, they don't have OBD2 connectors. They have proprietary connectors, like Tesla has a proprietary connector. And with a Tesla, a lot of times it's going to diagnose itself anyways. So, it's kind of hard to see with the Tesla and with the Rivian. Both if it's like a Ford or a Chevy or any of the vehicles we already cover, it's going to be in there just because we get that information from the manufacturer already. So we just integrate it into our system. Let's see. Quinn, I'm not 100% sure how to answer that question, but I'll try. So how do I read misfires with a Triton on a vehicle that doesn't have that capability like in the GM Tech 2? So there's most vehicles now have some sort of a misfire monitor in there. It's either in the data, or I know on some vehicles, like on Chryslers, they're going to have a separate functional test for it. Ford has a separate functional test for it. You can also look into the OBD2 as well. On some of the tests in there, you can see misfires in there as well. But by and large, most of the vehicles I think that support it are in there. Let's see what we got to do. Some of these are class test questions too. Do Snap-on scanners have freeze frame information for non-OBD systems such as ABS transmission, etc., with system-specific data? So it's going to depend on whether or not the manufacturer provides that. And I'm not really aware of too many manufacturers that do provide freeze frame on other modules other than engine. On engine, they have to, because it's the law, if they're OBD2 and all that. But not 100%. If the manufacturer supports it, I would say we would support it. I haven't really seen any. Let's see. Adam Montgomery asks, what's the best way to set up and read a high amp clamp on a scope? So with a high amp clamp, do this here, and it may or may not be in there. I'll have to find it. Let's see. So let's see. I'm not sure if the specs are on our website. We'll find out. All right, so here's an example. This is our Snap-on clamp-on high amp probe. So this is able to read what, 400 amps or no more than that. Let's see, greater than 10 amps. Yeah, 0 to 2000 amps, AC or DC. So that's the high amp. We have like a medium amp clamp that's a little lower than that too. But what it's going to do is it's going to output any amp clamp, and it doesn't even have to be a snap-on. Any amp clamp that you're going to get. When it reads amperage current, it is going to generate a voltage in the electromagnet that's in here. It's the windings and coil in there. It's going to generate a voltage and it sends that voltage out. So you're going to have positive and negative. So you got to figure out what side's negative. And they will fit next to each other, or they should fit next to each other in the scope mod, because that's kind of a standard spacing. So you put the negative on the black channel and then the positive on the yellow channel, which would be, you can't split them up. So it's going to be kind of plugging it in. And then you would go over on the tool, and then you would go into your scope, and then you would just need to set up the channel for voltage. And then you would need to set it up for however many volts. So if it's just only millivolts, like maybe it's 10 millivolts per amp or something like that, then you could put, 2 volts to get you to 2000 amps, right? So, millivolts per amp. You'll have to read the documentation that comes with the tool. It doesn't look like we had the owner's manual for that one online. Well, you need to fix, so that would work with any amp clamp that's out there, would be able to do that. I'll be able to set it up that way. Let's see. Mini Hop asks, what's the most current scanner model? So it depends on what scanner you're looking for. The most recent one that's been released is going to be the Zeus Plus, which only came out just a little while ago, at least in the United States. If you're over in the UK, it's going to be a little while. And then as far as the Triton D10 is the newest version of the Triton. The Apollo D9 is the newest version of the Apollo. And the Solus Legend is the latest version of the Solus. So we have 4 different tools that we really sell out there for different price ranges and different features. So that is the latest model of each of those. Let's see. Biker Man's going to ask how to set up flags on data. Sure, we can do that. What time is it? All right, we're going to take quite a little while here today. This is turning out much better than it started. It sure started slow, but we're doing good here. So I'm just going to pull up my regular Tahoe just because it's easy and it's right. All right, so if I was reading data, I'm just going to pull up data display out of here. Engine data. All right, so if I wanted to, actually it's going to depend on your tool, right? So Biker Man, can you tell me what tool you're using if the delay isn't too bad? Maybe if I do this, it'll be faster. And while we're waiting for an answer from him, Nick says, when is an 8-channel oscilloscope on a Snap-on scanner coming? I don't know. I've been asking for more than 4 channels for a little while now. So I think they've kicked it to engineering, and we'll see. Because you have to actually go through and change the software and everything too. So it's a little more difficult than that. So so Biker Man says he's got a Triton D10. So on a Triton D10, it doesn't have flags, so to say, but you can set triggers. So what you'll need to do, and unfortunately I don't have mine hooked up right now to show you, but what you need to do is on your data screen, you're going to look up at the top. You're going to highlight the PID that you want to set a trigger for, higher and low trigger. You're going to highlight that PID with your finger. Look at the top of the screen. You're going to see it looks like an up and down squiggle with a line above it and a line below. You're going to click on that, and you're going to click Set Trigger. And it's going to have some up and down arrows and a check mark. So it's going to have you set the maximum first. So you're going to move it up or down depending on where you want to have it. So if it ever goes above this, I want it to trigger, right? And then you'll hit the check mark. It'll cycle you down to the bottom one. So the minimum, if it goes below this, I want it to trigger. You're going to set that, hit the check mark again. It's going to bring you back to your graphs. On that screen, when you've done that, you're going to go back up to that up and down squiggly line. Hit that. Going to drop down. You're going to hit arm triggers. And then it's going to go and it's going to record until it goes above or below that line. And then after that, it's going to save it for you. And then you'll be able to review the movie. It puts a line in the movie there as well. So that was a good question there from Biker Man. How to set up for live data. So it's not going to have the flags here. It will have the flags on the PIDs, I guess. So it won't have the flags on the bottom, but it will have the flags on the PIDs when you do it that way. Would be nice if it flagged PIDs automatically smiley. Well, guess what? If you use Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics, it does, right? But not all of them. So it's only going to do certain PIDs depending on known good and bad vehicles. So that's, sometimes it does do it automatically, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. Yeah, that are out of spec. So it just depends on the vehicle and on the code. If you don't have a code smiley, it's not gonna do it automatically. All right. Let's see. All right. Looks like we are running up on time here because we got about 45 minutes total. So this was really good, really productive. I think maybe we can do this again sometime. Always good to have the questions back and forth. And it's always good to have you all ask questions about what we have going on with the tool and what we have going on for training here as well. So I will remind you, though, if you haven't seen any of these recordings recently, if you own a Snap-on scan tool and you're in North America, you do have quite the epic chance to win quite the epic prize. It's this nice picture right there. So anyone that upgrades to the current version of software, 22.4, whenever your tool is available to update to that. So if you're able to update to 22.4 by the end of the year, so you got another week and a half or so, will be entered to win a prize to win this epic workstation. So it has this cool custom wrap on there. It's got like circuit boards, things like that. It's one winner per region. So we're giving away 10 of these in North America, so Canada included. Anything running 22.4 at the end of the year will be automatically entered to win in this contest here. So you got to be on 22.4 by the end of the year. So if you're on a software subscription and it's up to date, update your tool. As long as it's paid up, you should be able to just download it online. If you did the buy one, get one free software a couple months ago, do that as well. And then if you have a data plan, update that as well, right? So just as long as your tool is on 22.4, you will win, or you may win this workstation. So it's a grand prize total of $24,000 plus retail. So it's a 36-inch epic cabinet, comes with the top cab, locker, hutch, whatever you want to call it. Inside that, it has a 27-inch touchscreen, and it also has a dock for a Zeus Plus with a Zeus Plus in there as well. So the whole thing will be up to date. It'll have a brand new scan tool in there, brand new toolbox. Also have your name on it. So if you win in your region, you will have, it'll be personalized with your name as well. So that would be a pretty awesome prize. I think that's a pretty epic prize, as they say. So with that, let's talk about a couple weeks. So we're going to take 2 weeks off over the holidays, actually spend a little bit of time with our families and things like that. So January 10th will be my next class. It'll be 3 Tuesdays from now, right? So next week and the week after, yeah. So between Christmas and New Year's, and then January 3rd. So January 10th, we will be doing one of the classes that you all suggested tonight. So I'll just go through the information. I got one more of these classes to do tonight. We'll go through the information and start working on some classes. So one of the classes you voted on will be one of the first 5, 6, 10 classes that we do next year. So we're going to keep the same format, I think, 5 classes, and then repeat those 5 classes. So same time and same place, though, 6 and 9 Eastern. You want to go to snapon.com/OT if you want to join on Zoom. Otherwise, the 9 p.m. class goes to YouTube like we're doing right now, youtube.com/SnapOnDiagnostics. And then the 9 Eastern class goes to Facebook. So you do have to kind of think about what time zone you're in, right? So it could be 3 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific as well. Just take that into consideration. Keep that in mind. Also, we have archived on the YouTube channel, 52 other classes that we've done in this series. So if you want to go with that, anything from like ADAS, data bus testing, thermal imager, component testing, diesel emissions, all sorts of different things we've delved into before over the couple years we've been doing this. And we will be adding some more to this as well, it seems, because we got a few more content requests this class that we want to see. So we might expand on a couple of those. All right. So with that, that's usually where I get the Q&A, and I do see a few more coming through, so I'm going to backtrack on those in a minute. I do want to remind you also, we do offer free on tool training on 3 nights a week, Mondays on Apollo, Wednesdays on Zeus, Thursdays on Triton. Same time, same place, 6 and 9 Eastern, 5 and 8 Central time. You go to snapon.com/OT, you can register for that as well. It is a very thorough training. The Apollo class is about an hour long, and Zeus and Triton are about 2 hours long with a break in the middle. And he covers everything from setting up your Wi-Fi, setting up all of your free Snap-on cloud account, things of that nature, all the way through code to completion on Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics to help you out on. So that is Al's class, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Go check that out. Let's back up, get into some questions here. Let's see, Anthony, that's actually probably a good idea for a class. How do you detect substituted data? So that might be something we'll put into a class a little later on. Let's see, everybody, a few people on YouTube saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those good things, and same to you, however you celebrate, whatever holiday you celebrate. If you're celebrating Hanukkah right now, we're in the middle of that. So I definitely wish all of you a happy holiday, whatever it happens to be that you enjoy. Let's see, part number 2, the trigger tool. Roderick is asking. So let me just double check here. Window, pull that over here. Ignition probe. Not that one though. Let's see. Oh, there's a video that I did. Let's see, pick up. There we go. Oh, that's not on our website. Would look kind. No, it doesn't look like that. That's a totally different one. Let's try that. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. So we're going to have this little Pez dispenser looking thing and this adapter cable there. So the entire kit is EAK 0294 B09A. So that'd be right there. For your, if you have a spark plug wire, that would be what you would use to trigger the second channel. If you just have coil on plug, you can just use a back probe and back probe on the coil trigger itself, and that would give you your second channel there, Roderick. So depends on what you have for an ignition. I'll leave that up there for a second so you can write it down, but it's EAK 0294 B09A. Yeah, so that would be for if you have a wire. If you don't have spark plug wires, it's coil on plug, then you would just back probe at the coil on plug connector, whatever the trigger wire is for that coil, whatever the computer's using to turn that coil on. So either way, they would go into channel 2 in that instance. So hope that answers your question. With that, it is time to go. Thank you all very, very, very much. Thank you all very much. Enjoy your holiday, enjoy your time off if you have some. I know around the last couple weeks of the year, a lot of people try to spend a little bit of time with their families, which is much needed and much deserved. So like I said, whatever you celebrate, enjoy. Thank you very much for all your input, all your questions tonight. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. January 10th will be the next live class. So we're going to have a couple weeks where we're just going to kind of pause over the end of the year, reset for the holidays and such. So I appreciate all of you watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so, because we have a lot of people that watch that aren't subscribed. So it'd be nice if you did. Doesn't cost you anything. And then you'll get updates anytime we have any new classes. With that, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holidays. See you next year. Have a good night. Take care.